Gav, what are we talking about this week?
We're looking at a few differences between UK and US English.
And we're describing how to use speech-to-text to correct students' errors.
We're talking about how to deal with students who do and don't do homework.
We play the Yes I Am game.
And for our quiz of the week, we have fun breaking down and rearranging some mixed metaphors.
That's right. And don't forget, followers, visit our Ko-fi page to show us some love.
That's ko-fi.com/howtoenglishpod. Now enjoy this week's How to English TEFL pod.
Welcome everybody, this is How to English, Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
All opinions stated are personal and references will be given when necessary.
Let's introduce ourselves. My name is Gav and I'm a TEFL teacher.
And I'm Em, and I am also a TEFL teacher.
And we're here to talk about our experience and knowledge and share with the followers our week of teaching.
That's right, Gav. So how are we going to begin?
We're going to start by making a teeny tiny correction on our previous episode.
Oh, only one? That's not bad.
That's not bad for us. So I did double check our portmanteaus from the last episode and I noticed that one of them was not exactly what I thought it was.
Oh dear, we're keeping with the portmanteau corrections. What's going on now?
We're nearly finished, don't worry. But do you remember what a brelfie was?
Yeah, it was a breakfast selfie or a photo of your breakfast.
That's it. Well, I did double check that one and I found out that it is in fact a breastfeeding selfie.
Oh, that's a baby's breakfast maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the only correction. Otherwise, we did okay.
Yeah, it's quite an important one, I think. I'm going to send you a brelfie. Make sure you know what's coming. Gav, with that out of the way, how are we actually going to start the show?
We're going to start with this topic, Em. Do you remember last episode you mentioned the game Yes I Have?
The lying game.
Followers, do you remember the lying game had nothing to do with lying on the floor and sneezing?
I don't remember the sneezing. You're adding that now. Okay, yeah.
No, it was definitely there, but no. The idea of the game, as you explained, was the student has to reply, yes, I have, to whatever statement or question was posed to them. For example, have you ever met a famous person? Have you ever been to Paris? These kind of things. Really good questions. And the student had to reply, yes, I have, even if it wasn't true. And then the other classmates would ask them questions to determine whether they think the student is telling the truth or telling lies, Em.
Yes, that's right, Gav.
Well, I decided to try this activity on my students this week, Em. And would you believe it? Something interesting happened.
What was that, Gav?
I gave the students the worksheet. One of them decided to choose this question and they asked, did you ever ride on a camel or an elephant?
Not have you ever. Did you ever?
Yes.
I've also had that come up, to be honest with you. And what did Gav do?
Gav said, great American English. Does anybody know how we would say this in British English? And we talked about that for a minute and it was all good. And I said to the students, you decide to ask and answer the questions whichever way you like. Now, this leads perfectly to some other American British English sentences that we might come across in our classes, Em. Would you like to discuss that with me?
Definitely.
Now, let's imagine our student says to us, I forgot my keys at home. Em, I can see your eyebrows are rising.
Is that American English then, to say I forgot my keys at home?
Well, what do you think, Em? Because you typically speak British English.
I would say I left my keys at home.
That's what I would say. So I think you're using British English when you say I left my keys at home and American English to say I forgot my keys at home.
That's very interesting. Have you got any more?
I have. Imagine your student said to you, the mall was empty because of the unexpected floods.
The mall. This is vocab then. As British English speakers, we would say the shopping centre was closed. Yeah.
And our American colleagues would say,
the mall. Why go to one shop when you can go to them all?
I'm just giving my students the option of speaking both American and British English.
Definitely.
How about this? The student said, we let the kids at home while we went to the theatre.
We let the kids at home. That sounds very different. I would say I left them at home.
You left them, not let them.
Yeah, or I let them stay at home, or I left them at home.
Ah, that's quite different.
It is.
Maybe you let your keys on the table and then you forgot them.
Not forgot my keys on the table.
No, you could also let them there.
Really?
Meaning to leave. I've had students using let in many different ways, which are not typically used in British English.
Right, good to be aware of all this.
How about the sentence, I've went to Paris several times?
So I've went is an alternative to I've been or I've gone. This is good.
This is often referred to as non-standard English, but is becoming more common with English speakers. Along with I seen him there, I drunk a coffee there, etc., etc. And I think I've gone would be more American, I've been is more British. How about your student said, she was born on September 9, 1957.
Okay, I didn't know that was American. To say the number 9, not 9th.
Well, I've heard it in American podcasts, for example.
Really? Okay, this is good. It's because I usually tell my students that they need to say it as the 9th, but they can write without the TH if they want.
And how might a British person say that date?
The 9th of September, with lots of extra words, which I also add into my lessons that those words are optional. You've got lots of combinations of how you want to say the date, but I don't usually say 9. Yeah, I usually teach it as always, like you can say September 9th, or you can say the 9th of September, but I've never heard September 9.
I think it's becoming more and more popular these days. How about this sentence from your student M? I have a new student's book for my studies.
Sounds okay. I don't know what was different.
Can you make it super British for me?
Maybe I've got a new study book. I've got.
Sounds a bit more British, doesn't it? I've got rather than I have.
Yeah, that does. You're right. I think maybe there's also the got, like Americans would say, I've got to go, or I've got to see a doctor, or I've got to do this for work. And maybe British people would say, I have to, I need to, and it would be contracted to, like, I have to go. So maybe that's a bit different.
That's another example of a very small difference. How about if I say, I use jump rope to stay fit?
I'd say I use a skipping rope, which I think sounds very old-fashioned and twee, but those are still used in the UK, definitely.
And have you brought your swimsuit?
Swimsuit, bathing suit, swimming costume, swimming suit. I think there's all mixed up phrases for that now.
And maybe there's a dive board at my local pool.
Okay, a diving board would be my version of that.
So what we're seeing here are noun-noun collocations in the US, verb plus noun. In the UK, gerund plus noun.
Okay.
So they're the gerund forms. So you said skipping rope, swimming costume, and diving board, which might be a bit more common in the UK.
Yeah.
Look out for those small differences, Em, between British and American English.
I will, Gav. Thank you for that. I was doing a worksheet last week with my students, and I was asking them to transform formal or informal sentences. So if they had a formal email sentence, which may have said something like, please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions.
That's very formal, Em.
Very formal. I asked them to change it so it sounded more informal and a bit more kind of casual, friendly style. So how would you change that, Gav?
What was it again?
If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Get in touch if you have any questions.
Yeah, exactly. Good. So I was on the computer on an online lesson and the student was telling me the sentence and I was writing it on the PDF. So they were dictating it essentially to me and I was typing it as they said it.
And you were sharing your screen so they could see you were typing on their behalf.
Yeah, exactly. So it was almost like an AI that was typing as they were speaking. Like
I do wonder if you are in fact an AI sometimes, Em.
Okay, thanks, Gav. So I'm not that good. I made a few mistakes myself. I had to change.
That's the best AI. They pretend to make mistakes.
So it was speech to text kind of thing. And it occurred to me that perhaps there's a few ways of doing this. And I quite liked this method because they then could see the sentence as they'd said it. And I then looked at it and said, well, there are actually 2 mistakes in that sentence that you haven't said it correctly.
I am screwing my face up right now. Now, I have a little problem with this method.
Why?
I really like the speech to text. I do that myself. I share my screen. I ask the students, what's the answer? I type it in there for them. I can see they're full of glee. Look, the teacher is writing on my behalf. Isn't that wonderful? Everybody can see this in the meeting. But I am not a big fan of making mistakes deliberately.
So if they're saying it and you're correcting it as they say it, so if they say, please get on touch if questions, and you're typing, please get in touch if you have any questions, then it's kind of strange, isn't it, that you're correcting their English as they're saying it?
I have not explained my method because you simply have not asked for it.
What is your method, Gav, please?
Well, I might have 2 methods here that I could lend you.
Thank you for that.
I want them back later.
Okay.
The first one is that I write the sentences the students tell me, but instead of using the incorrect words they tell me, I put gaps.
Oh, that's quite nice.
I draw a little line where the preposition should be that they incorrectly told me to give them an indication there's an error there and they need to think about it and hopefully correct it, or one of their classmates might help.
And the other one?
The other one is I say, did you say on or at? And that gives the students the opportunity to think, the teacher is asking me a question. Usually Gav asks me a question because I've made a mistake, especially with my prepositions. And that gives them the chance to think, maybe that's wrong, maybe this sounds better, and then they might change their mind.
Okay, but I'm saying with this technique, there's not right or wrong. I would say it's quite nice to try lots of things. I still think my way is valid, but why do you do it that way, Gav?
Because I think when students see incorrect language written, or if they hear it, or if they get it from another student, for example, I think that enforces an error and it could become more permanent. And I don't want them to learn incorrect English.
But I also think that these are sentences they write so often that you just stopping for a second might not be enough. They might need to see what they do every day. And then for the teacher to say, and you're happy with that, are you? Is that what you write in all your emails? Is it? And then they might think, oh, it's not the right way. And it might just shock them a bit more. They might think, oh, I've got such a good sentence there. It's perfect. And then you've said, actually, that's wrong. And they've been just floored by that, you know. Maybe that works too. I like your ideas. I like the techniques. Are you saying that you just really hate the way I do it?
No, I'm not saying I hate it. I just don't do it. I don't want to reinforce incorrect language, which I know from my own experience. If I see something written incorrectly, I'll think, oh, well, that's correct then. That must be right.
And also, I think as teachers, maybe the students are looking to us as a test, as in if the teacher hasn't stopped me, then it must be okay. Maybe you're breaking the trust there a bit if you do let them say something that's not right.
I think we should be models of, if not perfect English, but very, very good English, so that we're not making errors in front of them.
But I don't know if that's realistic, Gav. I don't know if that's how the real world is. I feel like, okay, you've made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. Let's just look at it.
Well, why bother correcting it then?
Because it's wrong. Because it does need correction. But I think sometimes it's interesting just to see what they think of their own English. You say to them, okay, you've said that. Are you going to change anything? And they're like, no, that's exactly how I like it to be. And then you say, well, there are 3 grammar mistakes and a spelling, not spelling mistake because I'm spelling, but if you say, oh, well, there's 3 grammar mistakes and a vocabulary error, they might find it interesting.
I think they will. Let's agree to disagree on this method of correcting students, Em.
What do you think, followers? Maybe give us some of your feedback.
Well, let's do it now. Raise your hands if you think Em's method is the best.
This is a podcast, Gav.
I can't see any arms going up, Em.
That does not mean you're right. Does not mean you're right.
Em, I've got a question for you. What are these all responses to? Looking down, looking out of the window, pretending to do something else, or saying, I don't think I got it, or oh, I forgot, or I didn't open that email, or I wasn't here last week, or simply laughing and smiling. What are these all responses to, Em?
Took me a minute, Gav, but I'm totally with it now. That's the question the teacher asks at the beginning of every lesson. Did you do your homework?
That's it. Or have you done your homework?
Yes. Ooh, interesting. And so that's what your students do, is it?
I have noticed many different methods of responding to my question.
Where the answer is just actually no.
It simply should be no. They do know the word no, but they just want to be a bit more creative with it, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you go from there, Em? Say, for example, all the students start laughing and say, yeah, no, we haven't.
I'm not sure I would be there, to be honest. I'm not sure I would be there in the first place because most of my students have quite clearly stated if they want homework or
And
not.
my students have asked me for homework every single week, and I say, would you like to do some homework? They're like, yeah, send me something. Can you send me a video, maybe an exercise?
Actually finished. So
I'm with you so far, Em. We're on the same page.
I don't ask them, is what I was going to say. They get homework, but they get to do it in their own time. And if they want to send it to me to check it, I will happily check it for them.
They send it to you?
Yeah, I do it as a kind of, you can write the answers on a PDF or you can finish that exercise, send it back to me. And then the ball is well and truly in their court. And I don't ask them because I think it's embarrassing and awkward and nobody wants to talk about it. So it's not school, in my opinion. If you want to do it, you can be a big grown-up and you can do it yourself and you can check your answers. And if you have any questions, I am just at the end of an email. But I am not going to be there every day saying, have you done your homework? Have you done your homework? No, that's not me.
That's fair enough. I don't always ask them if they want homework, but I do say, now we've done this exercise all about this topic, I'm going to send you a link and you can do some more for your homework if you want to. And then the next lesson, I might ask them.
Why are you asking them?
Because it's a week later and maybe the students had some questions when they did the exercises and thought, I'm going to ask Gav next time I see him next week in our lesson.
Well, that's a nice opportunity you give them, and maybe I don't offer that to my students.
And also, I like to encourage the brown nosers.
I hate that phrase. Okay, encourage the brown nosers.
The teacher's pets.
Sure. That's the pros of your technique, but I just think that a lot of people have no time for homework, and even the ones that do it often just don't have questions. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I agree. They don't often write to me, so maybe they're not asking those questions. So it is nice to give them a chance if they have questions.
I don't want my students to feel embarrassed that they did the homework. I think they should be very proud. They should come to the next lesson. They should show all the other students their completed worksheet. They should ask some really good questions. We can go even deeper into some of these topics with the students who have done the exercises, but we're kind of held back by those other students who are too cool for school homework.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think these people are busy people. They all have lives. You can't judge them on their lack of homework. I think that's why I don't ask about it, because I don't want to embarrass the ones that haven't done it. And I don't honestly care if they haven't checked their email. If my email goes directly into their trash, it's fine. That's life. Again, Gav, there's no right or wrong here. It's just different.
We are definitely agreeing to disagree once again. And we can both have our own opinions, and those two opinions may differ.
That's absolutely right.
You know what I fancy right now?
A coffee. Don't forget, people, coffee, what is it? Don't forget, people, ko-fi/how-to-English-pod if you want to buy us a coffee.
Thanks, Em. Nice plug. But I was thinking of playing a game.
Ah, okay, a game.
And the reason I introduced my students to this game this week is that they often make mistakes with the auxiliary verbs be, have, do. Now, I'd like to play the Yes I Am game.
Oh, okay, not the Yes I Have game. We've done that one. The Yes I Am game.
This is a different game, Em, and I'm really excited to share this with the followers. I'm going to give you let's say 3 cards. Now, on the cards are different auxiliary answers. For example, yes, I am, yes, we are, no, she isn't, no, he doesn't. And what you need to do is ask me a question to get the answer that's on that card. And then you get a point.
Okay, Gav. Sounds like fun.
Let's begin. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Ask me your first question, and I'm going to give the answer on your card. I can't see your card, but you need to guide me now, Em.
Okay, Gav. My first question. Is this podcast about potatoes?
No, it isn't.
Very good.
Although I think we have talked about potatoes.
Yeah, but the theme itself, the general theme.
Yeah, we haven't covered potatoes in as much detail as we should have.
We're not changing it now, but no, the answer is no, it isn't. Well done.
How to potato. My first card. Is your cat on your lap?
I don't have a cat.
Ah. Are we talking to each other?
Yes, we are.
Yes!
I was going to say arguing, but yes, we are technically talking to each other.
Only technically.
Okay, next one. Are you Gav?
Yes, I am.
Very good.
And that was easy.
It was a good one.
My second card. Are our followers buying us a coffee right now?
Ooh. Yes, they are.
No.
Oh, Gav, be optimistic. Was it really? No, they aren't.
Correct.
Oh, somebody might be out there. Please. No? Okay. No, they aren't.
All right, that's 2 points to me.
Okay.
2 points each.
Last one. Does Em like tea?
Yes, she does.
That was a bit weird, wasn't it? But yes, she does.
I think she definitely does.
Thank you. That's me done.
Well done, you got 3 points. Let me see if I can get my last card. Here's my question. Are we English teachers and podcasters?
Yes, we are.
Yay! 3 points. Ding, ding, ding. We are both winners. High five.
I like that. That was good.
What did we practice in that activity, Em?
We practiced auxiliaries and pronouns and yes, no answers.
Lots of question forms as well.
That's true. Yes, lots of questions. We'll put a reference to that worksheet in our show notes. Right, Gav?
Exactly. Everybody should try it. The moment that all our followers have been waiting for. Are you ready?
I am ready.
1, 2, 3.
Quiz of the week.
And this week's quiz of the week, Em, is mixed metaphors.
Nice.
I tried these with my students and they seemed kind of intrigued.
Okay. You'd have to have high-level students, can I just say, because metaphors on their own are quite hard. Mixed metaphors? That's quite something.
It was. Fortunately, my students were high level, so they already knew some of the metaphors. And then we just looked at them all mixed up and thought, well, that's kind of interesting. And it led to some nice conversations, breaking them down, separating them, trying to put them back together again.
Before we start, Gav, can I just say, I'm not sure that we're going to be talking about metaphors, are we? Are you talking about idioms?
Well, we call them mixed metaphors, but to be honest, I think you're right. They're actually idioms.
Yeah, so let's just be a bit flexible with the title of this quiz of the week. Mixed metaphors
/
idioms.
Yes. First of all, Em, as I like to do, because I've done the CELTA and I know that I need to elicit from you some examples before we even start. Before I give you my own examples.
Yeah.
Which mixed metaphors / idioms can you recall?
For example, I think this is quite a funny one. A watched clock never boils.
A watched clock? As in you're looking at a clock.
Yep, tick-tock, clock.
And it doesn't boil, as in water boiling in a pot.
Yeah. So those two idioms together, I've put, this is a bit like portmanteau, isn't it, really? But with a idiom. What are those two original ones, Gav?
I think it's a watched clock never ticks.
No. Is it? A watch clock never... What is it? Is it not a watch clock?
Em. According to the internet, it is a watched clock never ticks. It could also be a watched clock never moves.
Oh, okay. I don't know that one. I know the pot one.
What's the pot one?
A watched pot never boils.
Ah, that's the second half of that mixed metaphor.
But they do mean the same thing, which basically just means if you're waiting for something, it's going to be a lot longer if you're just focusing on the thing you're waiting for.
But I can't see any clocks boiling or watches cooking things.
Ticking. Pots don't tick.
I've got a few more of these mixed metaphors. Would you like to break them down for me?
Yes, Gav.
Let's begin. Not the sharpest cookie in the jar.
Well, it's not the sharpest tool in the box.
Or knife in the drawer.
Yeah. Cookie, though? I don't know the cookie one. What's the cookie one?
We have the phrase the smartest cookie.
Do we?
Have you not heard that?
No. I know tough cookie.
All right, well, they're kind of all mixed up there, I suppose. I don't think I would use this one because it suggests that somebody's not very smart, and I would never say that to somebody.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
A stitch in time heals all wounds.
Well, a stitch in time saves 9.
Meaning
If you catch something before it gets worse, you will save yourself a lot of trouble. Which I never actually understood this idiom.
Well, it's a reference to clothes and mending clothes stitches in your dress, for example, or your trousers to stop them falling apart.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? 9, what a random number. Just rhymes with time, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course it does.
And the other one was...
Heals all wounds.
Well, that's time heals all wounds. So that's not even connected, is it? Time heals all wounds, meaning just give it time and you'll feel better.
That mixed metaphor would leave me even more confused, Em. Hold your horses till the cows come home.
Well, hold your horses is in itself an idiom. That just means wait and don't be so hasty. But you'll be waiting till the cows come home means you'll be waiting a very long time because they don't come home until usually the sun goes down.
Whichever endeavour you're trying to fulfil will not succeed, even if you do it for a long time, because those cows are not coming home soon.
That's right.
To live your life like a candle at both ends.
Wow, that's complicated. To live your life. I don't know what that is.
Like a candle in the wind, I think.
Oh, what is that? A candle in the wind?
Wasn't that what Elton John sang about Lady Di?
Yes, and
no,
Marilyn.
It was Marilyn.
It was both.
Was it?
He did both. But what was he talking about? I actually have never thought about what he meant.
I think it was like living your life without worrying about the consequences and possible and not caring about the judgments of others. I might be wrong.
An interesting interpretation. I thought it meant either a short life that is blown out quickly.
Oh, that sounds better, doesn't it?
They
Living to the fullest.
They both died young, isn't it?
Yeah, so live your life to the fullest and enjoy it as much as possible, but sadly be wiped out before old age.
But it could also mean just being very fickle and changing your mind a lot because a candle is always moving. So it could just mean doing lots of different things all the time. I think we need to check this one, Gav, so we haven't got to do a correction next time.
It would save time if I just Google it, wouldn't it?
Yes. What does it mean?
According to Quora.com, the title and lyrics are a metaphor. A candle in the wind will be extinguished rather quickly, as was Marilyn Monroe, who died at a young age. Same was true for Diana, who also died at a young age. The image of a candle being blown out is often used as a metaphor for death.
Yeah, we say snuffed out, don't we? Like that life was snuffed out. Yeah, I was kind of right, but I don't know if Quora is an official answer. And the second half of that idiom, which is to burn the candle at both ends, which means just to be doing too much and not sleeping and burning yourself out.
Waking up too early, going to bed too late.
Yeah.
You've not got enough energy to have a healthy, long life.
The candle bit really confuses that idiom, I think. I don't even know if we use candle in the wind as an actual idiom, do we? I mean, everyone knows the song. Have you ever heard anyone actually say they were a candle in the wind?
I haven't heard that, Em.
No, I haven't. One more?
Don't cry over spilled beans.
Don't cry over spilt milk. That's when something bad happens and you try and make someone feel better by just saying, well, it's done now, you can't change it, there's no use getting upset.
And not amounting to a hill of beans.
Oh, that I was wondering what that was. I thought it was like to spill the beans is like to tell the truth in a kind of gossipy way, but what was it?
To not amount to a hill of beans.
Which I guess means just nothing comes of it.
Well, it doesn't amount to anything. So even if you put all of your savings together, you still haven't got enough to buy a new football.
Right. Maybe this goes back to Jack and the Beanstalk or something, where you don't get much for your cow. Hill of beans. That's an American one, isn't it?
It sounds very American, that one. I'm not finished.
Oh, okay. There's more.
Let's burn that bridge when we come to it.
Love that. Oh, I love that. I'm going to start using that one. So usually cross that bridge when we come to it, meaning don't worry about it until it happens. We'll deal with that when it comes.
And burning bridges?
Burning bridges is...
I think that's when you're severing ties between you and others. So maybe you say to your boss, well, you can stick your job, I don't care. And then you realise you can't get another job and you have to go back and you think, oh no, I've already burnt that bridge.
That's right.
I've offended that person.
Yes.
They're not going to let me back in the company.
Can't go back. The bridge isn't there anymore. It's just dust. Ashy dust.
It's like looking for a camel in a haystack, Em.
Well, a needle in a haystack is almost impossible to find. But a camel? What's an idiom with camel? Straw that broke the camel's back?
I think that's when we say it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle.
We don't say that one, do we?
Oh, I've heard it.
I've never said it. It's a very old-fashioned one. And it's really long, that's why. Who's got time? It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than, what was it? A fat man to get into heaven.
Than for a rich man to enter.
Oh, it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for...
It's from the New Testament, Em, and it's Jesus saying in Luke 18:25, easier than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God.
Right. Well, it's a long one, isn't it? Very lengthy. I don't know if we use that one so much anymore.
Again, it's known.
Okay.
And finally, you've bitten off the wrong end of the stick.
Which maybe a dog would do in an aggressive game of fetch.
Is there a wrong end of a stick for a dog?
No, I don't suppose there is. They're all good ends for a dog. So you've bitten off more than you can chew, meaning you've taken on maybe more than you're actually capable of doing, or perhaps like a bit like your eyes are bigger than your belly. You've just taken more buffet food than you can eat, kind of thing. And what was the other one?
To get the wrong end of the stick.
To get the wrong end of the stick is just to misunderstand and to be barking up the wrong tree. I don't know. This is idioms day, isn't it?
Did you know that that expression refers to a walking stick held upside down, which does not help a walker much, and originated in the 1400s?
Nice. I like the origin stories of these idioms. I could go down a very big rabbit hole on these.
Could you give us an example of when somebody might get the wrong end of a stick?
The stick.
Of the stick.
Maybe if you're looking for someone and I say, well, they're not here, and you just leave thinking they're not in the building, but it turns out they're in a different room, I would say, Gav, you just got the wrong end of the stick.
That's a very good example.
Thanks very much, Gav. That was a really fun episode.
Thanks to wordnik.com for their list of well mixed up metaphors. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can check out these gigglesome, is that a word?
No, it is nice though.
A gigglesome collection of mixed metaphors / idioms.
Thank you, and thank you, Gav.
We no longer need to hold our horses. Let's let our horses roam freely and perhaps gallop away with those open gates and say farewell for now.
Until next time.
Catch you on the other side of a fortnight.
What?
Speak to you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.